Welcome back to my channel. This is Gina from Her Cosmic Crown, and today we are going to talk about the moon through the houses. I am a tropical Vedic astrologer and I use the whole sign, whole house system. I've done videos on the different moon signs using moon boards that I created, which are basically collages that represent each moon sign. So check those out. I have a playlist and I have a blog post. And yeah, check out all that fun stuff. Links are in the description or at the end of the video. Let's get into this. I've done a lot of videos on the moon because the moon is used for a lot of things. It's used for predicting, it's used for compatibility. We use the moon for Muhurta, which is also known as electional astrology, which is basically choosing an auspicious time for an event such as buying a house. We look at the moon to understand who a person is, like personality wise, who they are, their hidden traits, because the sun, so if you know someone's sun sign, which is easy to find out, it's easy to find someone's sun sign. That's more of how they are in the world, their career, their inspirations, their actions. It's more of an action-based planet, and the sign in which we have our suns, that's an action-based sign for us, and that's how we show up in the world. But the moon is more hidden. It represents our likes, our dislikes. It represents how we get our needs met, which is important. Our comfort levels, what's our comfort zone, our focused mind. The moon is the mind, and the mind is so deep, and there's a lot of unconscious things. That's why the moon is connected to the ocean and things like that, because the mind, the moon, those are the conscious levels or the unconscious levels as well. So it's the consciousness and our focused consciousness. So the moon is extremely important. I would say the sun and the moon are one of the most important planets to look at in a chart. The moon represents the mother, the house, our environment. It's a feminine planet, it's receptive. So there's so much to the moon. Let's talk about the moon in each house. If you have the moon in the first house, and if you are a woman, you may be feminine. You're gonna have feminine traits about you. Now we want to see if your first house is ruled by a masculine sign or feminine sign, and what other planets are in the first house. But in general, it'll make a woman even more feminine, sweet in her speech, delightful, easy in general to get along with, and yeah, she can have a certain charisma about her, just be delightful. And you'll notice that because it's on the first house, it's in the first house. In a male's chart, we want to see again if the first house is ruled by a masculine or feminine sign, and what are the planets, are there any other planets in the first house. We want to see a lot, everything. But in general, if the moon is in the first house in a male's chart, it can indicate that he can be gentle, and he may not come across super masculine at first, but this can give a man a go with the flow and adaptable personality. And it doesn't mean that he's not masculine if he has the moon in the first house. It just means that there's more of this gentleness, this more receptiveness when it comes to his moon. If you have your moon in the second house, this can indicate that there is this focus on family. The second house represents the family, so there's this focus on family. Also, this makes a person take care of things, because the second house takes care of things, and whatever we take care of, those things tend to take care of us, right? So if we take care of a garden, that garden is going to take care of us by producing whatever it is that it produces. So it's the same in real life. If we take care of our friends, our family, relationships, our garden, whatever the case may be, that thing will take care of us. If you have your moon in the second house, you are definitely focused on getting our needs met, but you're also focused on taking care of others. This is also a house of self-worth. So because you're taking care of things, because you're needed, and because you are receptive to getting your needs met, this can increase your self-worth because you feel like you are useful and you feel like you are needed as well. So and this in general can help you take care of your resources and be resourceful and take care of business. It's not the extra money that you get to squander and things like that, but it's just getting your basic needs met, and you most likely are able to do that. Of course, we want to look at the entire birth chart. We want to look at the ruler of the second house and any planets connected to the second house, but in general, this can make you a very resourceful person. If you have your moon in the third house, well, the third house is a house of communication. It's the house of, it's a social house. It's a social house because it has to do with our teammates, our siblings. It's also competition, and it's also working on a skill and doing the difficult things, such as training for something. So if you have your moon in the third house, you can find yourself doing difficult things, focusing on learning, developing a skill, training. And as long as you focus on these things and overcome them, you're gonna find satisfaction. You develop something or you grow in the process. The third house is also the house of growth. Having your moon in the third house helps you to adapt to the challenges at hand so that you can get your needs met when the moon is solid in your chart. If you have your moon in the fourth house, so the fourth house has what's called Digbala or directional strength, and the moon does very well in the fourth house. And Digbala basically gives the ability for the moon to produce more and more happiness, more adaptability in order to get your needs met, because a big part of the moon has to do with our happiness. And the fourth house is a private house. It's a hidden house, whereas the opposite house is the 10th house, and that has to do with things that are not hidden, our career and our actions. Those are more external things, and the moon or the fourth house is more internal, hidden things. So the moon in general doesn't want to be external. It doesn't want to do things externally. It wants to go in. It wants to reflect, and that's why the moon is the brightest at night. It shines at night. That's when it has the most power. And so that's why it does well in the fourth house instead of, say, the 10th house. It needs to go inward. So a person with their moon in the fourth house, this gives them the ability to focus their mind internally. This is a private house that can help one reflect on their inner needs and how to get their inner needs met. And the fourth house represents the home. So a person can feel at home, they can feel comfortable at home. They might want to be at home more because that gives them a time to rest. And generally a person with their moon here, doesn't really have to go outside of themselves to be happy. And that's the purpose of the moon, is to find that happiness within. Is not looking for external happiness or validation, which some planets are, but the moon isn't. It's saying, I am happy because happiness is me. I am happiness. I embody happiness. It's within me. And a car doesn't make a person happy. A house doesn't make a person happy. Degrees doesn't make a person happy. It's just finding that happiness within. And that's what a person with their moon in the fourth house can most likely do. Of course, we want to look at other indications in their chart, but in general, this is a great place to have the moon. And having the moon in the 4th house can help a person to connect to their first feelings and to really identify that, like, I feel this way. Instead of being angry, they can get to the root of how they feel, like, oh, I feel very, very betrayed and sad. That's why I feel angry, right? So they can get in touch with their first feelings, and they could be more intuitive. They can have this intuitive side because they are able to go within. They're more in touch with their intuition, which is important for the moon. So these can be very intuitive people. Moon in the 5th house. So if you have your moon in the 5th house, you are a person who can readily create what's in your consciousness, because the 5th house, it's our creative expression. And it's also, you know, the clothes we wear, the way we dress. It's who we are, and because of who we are, we create that thing. And so there can be, your happiness is built on your unique self-expression, what you can build, and you have the ability to focus your mind to continuously do something that gives you success. So you can find happiness and luck when you lead in a creative and inspired life. When you connect to your individuality and connect to who you are and be consistent in that thing, you find a lot of happiness in doing that thing. If you have your moon in the 6th house, this can be a little challenging. The 6th house has to do with worldly problems, the worldly problems that we have to encounter, such as debt, such as health issues, such as, you know, going to work, you know, doing the hard things in life, and taking responsibility for those things. It could be a stressful house, but the good thing about this house is that it gets better over time. We're so involved in that house, we learn how to get better. It's also a material house, so it can provide material fruit. So if we are working on our health, if we are working towards paying off our debt, if we are working on our worldly responsibilities and issues, we can get rewarded materially in some kind of way. However, this can make a person more focused on not necessarily getting their inner needs met and finding happiness, but it can make a person focused on their material responsibilities and duties and you know, worldly problems that they have to solve. So there can be this inclination for a person to do what they are not inclined to do, what is not necessarily true to who they are, or they can feel kind of stuck in a rut sometimes. The moon in the 7th house. So the 7th house is a social house. It has to do with relationships, business relationships as well. It has to do with the public, traveling abroad for some kind of exchange. And like I said, it's a social house. And so when a person has their moon in the 7th house, an individual's happiness is connected to the relationships that they have, and particularly romantic relationships, since romantic relationships tend to be important to most people. And you may get your needs met through your desires and by being social. But you can have this knack for negotiating and creating win-win situations with others. At the same time, it's important to be aware of how to tap into your inner fulfillment and not get confused with what you desire with what you actually need. The 8th house is the house of breaks, crises, things not quite going as planned, things coming out of left field. Your mind, because the moon has to do with the mind, your mind can get pulled in different directions. So the moon in the 8th house can be turbulent, and this can make it hard to have inner fulfillment and inner growth, because there's just this push and pull with the mind and things happening out of nowhere, crises. And so we want the mind to be at peace. Okay, so that is one thing that the moon you know, represents. It represents peace. when it is very strong. So when the moon is in the 8th house, a person can be vulnerable to the ups and downs of life. However, the good thing about having the moon in the 8th house is that it is a moksha house, which is a house of liberation. So through these crises, through these ups and downs, through these things that are happening that can be unpredictable, like what the heck is going on, and the mind being pulled left and right, a person can maybe find liberation or moksha through these experiences. They can seek out things that can remedy this these ups and downs in their lives. The 8th house has to do with astrology, the occult, tarot, things like that, psychology, things that really help us to feel better emotionally, because the 8th house is the house of emotional security. It wants to find emotional security. It may behoove you, if you do have your moon in the 8th house, or really any planet in the 8th house, to really study things of the occult or anything that can help put the mind at ease, so that a person doesn't feel stuck doing the things that they don't want to do, or feel unhappy or confused, or in this kind of crises mode. So yeah, I would say occult stuff, astrology, psychology, study those things, and that can really help remedy the moon that is kind of turbulent, and it can help it become more peace through certain practices. The moon in the 9th house. So if you have your moon in the 9th house, you can feel like you're lucky because your consciousness, which is the moon, aligns with your purpose, which is the 9th house. And the moon in the 9th house can help a person plan for long-term goals and to feel happy and at peace with those goals. Elevating and expanding your mind and your consciousness with a philosophical perspective can really help you find peace and happiness. And you can also expand your mind and feel creative and things like that by traveling, by sharing your vision with others. Sharing your wisdom with others as well can make you feel happy and at peace. Your mind can be focused on your beliefs and your belief system, and you can really work on your belief system, and that can make you feel better because you are practicing something that you believe in. And you can explore your philosophy and even your spirituality, religion, all of that is connected to the 9th house. If you have your moon in the 10th house, you can be very socially conscious. You can take actions to fulfill your duties and responsibilities. You might be a leader. You can be a leader in your community, and you take pride in walking your path. And so this is a very externalized moon. You are out there in the world, you are accomplishing things and taking actions. Like I said, probably you could be in a leadership position, and you can strive to get your needs met that way externally. However, what can happen, because the moon is more of an internal planet naturally, because a person's focused on the external world when they have their moon in the 10th house, their happiness may be contingent upon their material accomplishments of the 10th house, rather than their ability to adapt to the environment and to look within themselves and find that happiness within themselves and connect to their intuition. When the moon is in the 10th house, connecting to their accomplishments and success. If you have your moon in the 11th house, you are probably destined to have a lot of success in your life, because there's this focus on gains, and this is a house of desires as well. So the the 11th house has to do with titles and respect and, like I said, gains, promotions, getting ahead in life. And so you probably do that very well. You, of course, want to look at other things in the chart holistically. But in general, you are probably very focused on getting ahead in life and, you know, getting the respect and validation that you rightfully deserve. At the same time, this is a social house that's putting an emphasis on the external world, and the moon does the best when it is reflecting, going within, finding the peace and happiness within instead of seeking validation out there. But with the moon here, and if the moon is strong and the 11th house is strong, then you probably are getting a lot of things from the world, okay? A lot of validation and respect. The 12th house has to do with escaping worldly problems. It's going on vacations, it's resting and relaxing. It's also like altered states of consciousness. It's meditation. It can be, you know, on a different end, it could be drugs and alcohol, or it can be ashrams, you know, because if you live in an ashram, you are not dealing with worldly problems. Not saying you don't have problems, but you're not dealing with the same problems that people are dealing with every day who go to work, who may have kids and have different kinds of responsibilities. So the 12th house, if you have your moon in the 12th house, somehow your conditioned consciousness is focused on getting away from worldly problems. So you can be really good at meditating, and of course meditating can help us find peace within. The 12th house is a moksha house, so it can help us be peaceful and find happiness. And you can be contemplative, or you can be someone who is great at research. The moon in the 12th house person can research a lot and just be in the zone, and they're not really focused on the worldly problems because they are focused on the situation at hand, or the problem at hand. But you could also be a person who tries to escape worldly problems through altered states of consciousness, alcohol, you know, different things like that. Some people do it through shopping, through getting intimate with different partners and things like that. Video games. There's so many ways that this can manifest. If the moon is strong and auspicious, a person may be more inclined to imagine a positive future for themselves and find ways to find liberation, and liberation basically from worldly problems, but even spiritual liberation as well, where they find peace and a certain level of bliss, and hopefully they can grow their consciousness. And then we have some moons that are conditioned to escape worldly problems in different ways that I already mentioned. So let me know in the comments below if this resonated with you. Let me know if you want me to do more of these kind of videos. I like doing these different house videos, these different sign videos. So just let me know. And of course, if you would like a reading from me, you can go to hercosmiccrown.com and click on book a reading, and you can learn more information about the readings that I offer. And I will see you in the next video for more astrology videos.